Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 15 of the House of Hammers. Christopher Okoye and myself designed this to spread positivity, motivation, teach people how to fail forward, and find out what makes some of the finest leaders, hammers, and individuals tick. But before we get to today's guest, who we are extremely excited about, and I could talk endlessly about what he's done here at Catholic Central in his college career, professional career. But before we celebrate our guests, you know, I got to tap in with co-host Chris Okoye and just see what he's had going on lately. Chris, share some positivity with us. Let us know what you've been doing lately.
Man, peace and blessings to the culture. It's been out, man, trying to help enrich society, man. Seeing young men offer different career options, checking in with our young guys' mental health, let them know that spring break is a time to get better, not get worse. You know how the spring break hurdle is some of our guys. So just let them know, man, let's not risk a week or two of fun for the rest of our senior, junior, or sophomore year season. So staying in contact with those guys, loving them up, man, keeping that relationship powerful, man. It's been
I see you're dipping your toe a little bit more into the AI world.
Oh yeah, we recently started teaching AI literacy, so that's been a big thing. Sharing our new framework of our role task format, so it's been a blessing. You know, everyone's talking about tech here, tech there, and I focus on teaching non-technical people how to better use AI. So it's been
you can make $1 trillion here with some of our people teaching them what AI even means. I don't even know if they know what AI means. But
it's being
no offense.
It's being forced upon people. However, you know, 92% of people don't even know how to write a prompt or even have a paid subscription. So even though it's everywhere around us, 90% of people aren't really using it. And out of the 9% of people that are using it, they don't really know how to use it. And so, yeah, man, we're just trying to, you know, pour into people and educate those that aren't super technical, which is majority of Americans. So.
Like old people is what you're
Honestly,
saying. Basically,
no.
you're trying to educate old people?
I mean, not even. I mean, majority of our kids don't even know what they're doing.
That's a good point. Just me now that I'm old, I can take shots at old people and younger people. Once you hit a certain, I teeter both lines. So I also noticed that you don't do the singing warm-up anymore to check your mic, since you've gone headphone-less on the podcast. Sean, have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't do it anymore.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of my favorite things ever. But
I just trust Sean. You know, if we go out, I feel like he'll give us a little thumbs down or something like that. But you miss it?
I do miss it a little bit. I'm sure you'll get your usual tagline in by the time we end the podcast.
Of course.
Since things are going so good for Chris, I wanted to just tap in on a couple things in my own personal life. Family's great. Boys are flourishing. Wife is still a saint, putting up with me on a daily basis.
Amen.
Justin, I know you suffer the same curse, having a saint for a wife. Sean, same. Chris, to update everybody out there, he still is not married, no children, and we're 15 episodes in. So we're still,
that's it. Like, oh my God.
We're still working on it. Our quote is, Sean, I think we said by the time episode 30 hits, we expect some positive movement from Chris. So
we're halfway.
Yeah, we're getting there. But life is good. You know, woke up today, planted my feet, gave thanks to God for another opportunity to start back in zero and spend some time with our people. Let's get to one of my favorite people who I feel like at certain points we've helped raise each other to an extent. My first year coaching at Catholic Central was the fall of 1998, and our guest was a senior on that team. And I can tell you, coming back, being out from your first year of college, it was a bit of baptism by fire with our guest and his classmates who I would say was a very eccentric class here at Catholic Central, highly motivated, highly successful. And this is a class that loved this place. They poured in endless amounts of spirit, their passion, their talents, whether it was on any type of athletic field in the classroom or in the hallways, and really set the standard for a lot of classes to come. And our guest today is our head football coach. He's a 1990 alum of Catholic Central High School. He's a national champion from Grand Valley State University. He started cutting his chops in the streets of Dearborn, Michigan, running 3-on-3 basketball tournaments with Hype Athletics. He blew that up into a business, eventually built a facility in Dearborn with Hype Athletics, and then took his talents out to the Legacy Center in Brighton, where he completely blew that place up with the Gobble brothers. Everything from 7-on-7 flag football now has a national platform that you helped create. I remember when you talked about building that 7-on-7 platform when you first came to Legacy. So our guest today is someone who has poured into Catholic Central, into the youth athletics platform for years, servant leader. I've been blessed to watch him become a grown man to an extent. I think all four of us are still growing up a little bit, but I've got to watch him grow up as a man of faith, as a husband, and I think one of the favorite things I've got to see him become as a father, because people here at Catholic Central take a lot of pride in who they are and the fire that they walk around with. But when you have kids, it changes you. When people you have love have kids, it changes you. I know, Chris, you're the same with my kids and when Justin's daughters are here. But before I go any further, I want to introduce somebody who I hold near and dear to my heart. He's become a mentor of mine. He's become a friend of mine. He's a coworker. We're in the trenches together. He's our head football coach, and he's fresh off of the 2025 Division I football state championship, the first one we brought back home in 16 years. Ladies and gentlemen, head football coach, Catholic Central alum, former national champion, Coach Justin Cessante.
Thank you. Thank you.
The man, the myth,
Wow,
the
I
legend.
appreciate the flowers. That's awesome. And as you introduce all these things, and I think the older you get and the more humility and respect you get almost embarrassed by those things because you know all was given to you by the grace of God. And a lot of people in this day and age want to talk about your accolades and your success, and obviously I do appreciate it. I know it's relative to the podcast, but a lot of people don't talk about the failures, and those are things I always keep fresh in my mind, not only to keep the humility and keep humble, but to understand how important those are to get where I'm at today, and that God always has a plan. And that plan is not always going to be a smooth paved road. It's going to be a lot of those ups and downs, and everywhere we come from, North Dearborn Heights, we come from everything that.
You notice I didn't make a comment there.
No, I got you. Yeah, it's my time, right? So, and everything my family has been through and I've been through in my life to set me up and put me back here as a servant leader in ministry, much more than a football coach, is a true blessing. So thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
We talk about non-scripted stuff here on this podcast because I don't want people, and Chris doesn't, we don't want people to prepare, pre-made responses, which, people can do.
Yeah.
They can come up with something, some line of BS. We want pure and raw emotion. One thing we do here is called the 2-minute you. And I know it's tough for CC guys to talk about themselves in 2 minutes because the four of us could probably go a good half hour.
Yeah.
But tell us in 2 minutes who Justin Cessante is, what makes you tick and what makes you who you are.
I'm a man of God. I'm a man of faith, instilled by the two most important people in my life at the time, my mother and my grandmother. I'm a single mother household kid, a kid that I think grew up tough, grew up in a diverse area, a kid that went through a lot of trials and tribulations, but it set me up to be at a just amazing place at Catholic Central that found me spiritually, that God led me to in a time that I wasn't thought of. I'm an athlete or a former athlete. I'm a man that finds athletics as an equation for success, a foundation, but all of those things have maybe a little bit of a tough guy, a little bit of a temperament, emotional, passionate, but if you keep all those things in line with faith and family, I'm definitely a family man first now. That is a priority for me. I'm a father, I'm a husband, and that's the most important thing to me. And then somebody who serves through ministry of this school and this football program. And also outside of that, I hope a community leader. I hope somebody that you look at me that I rest on principles of respect and morals, but I also a hard worker, And I keep my circle tight. I don't mess with everybody, and that's okay. Some people dislike me for that. That's fine. That doesn't mean they're right or wrong. It's just I always keep the people I trust and the people I keep around me. I'm a very loyal person. I grew up in a loyal community. I really grew up between a black and Arab community. I'm Polish and Sicilian, so I've just grown up around a lot of people that once you have each other's back, you have it for life. And so I'm blessed to have that. And I'm a Shamrock, forever. I live and die for CC High.
I think one thing that the four of us have in common, and Sean, I don't think for you coming to CC wasn't always something you dreamed about as a younger child, right?
No, yeah, that's right.
Chris, same thing with you. You kind of ended up here by getting to know Brian Chaney a little bit. And
I would say it was definitely like kid like me from my side of Detroit, and I was definitely was a dream going on the website, kind of seeing Sam. Remember I told you seeing
but you weren't
Sam
it wasn't predestined. You were
oh
coming
yeah,
here.
no. I just remember seeing the website the first time I heard of it and seeing Sam Landry and Butch Herzog. It was fresh out of the 09 championship and seeing the band and seeing people in London. I just never seen anything like that at the high school level, and seeing National Merit Scholars along with state championship banners, along with Christian service, 10,000 hours, like school combined. So it was, for me, it was definitely like this place far away, this kingdom, this heaven that, I had never heard of or seen. So that was definitely a little bit more important and special to me when I first saw this place.
It still feels like that when you get in here. Like, it is a small slice of heaven. I mean, we were off on spring break, and then, Justin, you go right on the college bus tour with how many of our players?
52.
52 players on a college bus tour. How many schools?
15 in 5 days.
15 schools in 5 days. Not much of a break and downtime for you there, but a place where you can decompress with our boys, build a ton of unity, which I think is the best thing about that trip. I mean, getting to spend that much time together with the kids. You grew up in an area where traditionally there weren't a ton of CC kids going to Catholic Central. Same as me being from South Dearborn Heights. What was it that drew you to this place, or what made you realize this is something different than I was even looking for?
Well, there's two things. I think, I got shuffled around from where I grew up on Telegraph and Joy Road. So there's times we went, we're Detroit schools to Dearborn Heights schools. Eventually that was what it was, then the Dearborn schools. And when I got over, a lot of my friends did have their fathers involved. And there was, I don't want to say politics, but you feel as an outsider, as you're the only one that's getting dropped off by mom and don't have dad in the crew. So that always made me feel a different way, maybe a little bit insecure about how I moved, or a little bit more conscious. What really opened my eyes to Catholic Central, and I talked about it at the State of the School, was John Spolsky came over to drop off West Side football flyers. I mean, not recruiting, just dropping off these flyers for the youth camp. And I met him through another guy I knew, Mike Cretu, and but I saw John, and he had this charisma and presence like what no other. I mean, I thought he was a college football player. He might have been a sophomore in high school. And I started following Catholic Central because of John Spolsky, God rest his soul. Yep. And one of the greatest Shamrocks, if not the greatest ever, ever put the pads on and walk these halls. And I started following them in the newspaper. I started asking around about them frequently, about Catholic Central, about what it stood for. And you just found out that the reputation and the excellence, was what the school was all about. You had to read in the newspaper at that time. They were always in the newspaper for something. And I definitely was following the football program. And I was drawn there by God. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I remember walking in to Old Breakfast Drive for the first open house. And the first man I met was Tom Mack in the weight room. And I remember seeing the sign, God's gift to you is your talent, your gift to God is what you do with it. And it just, you could smell the tradition literally. And, you could feel the presence of spirit and that the place was just special. And from that day on, I knew I was going to be a Shamrock as long as I could, get through my summer school classes and make it through not beating somebody up or something like that. So,
Summer school?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, of course.
Sean, summer skills for you?
No.
Whatever.
Oh, yeah. Get out of here.
Whatever, Sean.
Yeah, you're not welcome anymore.
He's a wrestler.
You're not welcome.
Yeah, good answer, Sean. Like you said, though, coming from that area, now you touched on following them in the newspaper. For you youngsters out there, the newspaper is something you used to get printed articles in. You would open, you could read it, not just click online and like doom scroll and stuff like that. But in your area, I know that a lot of people around there, much like from where I was coming from, Chris, same with you, they had you tabbed to go to a specific local high school.
Yeah.
When you decided to go to Catholic Central, how did some of those relationships change? Because I know they did.
Yeah, I mean, the very unique thing about my life is my friends. I have friends from kindergarten, and there's a group of 20 of us from the Detroit, Dearborn Heights, Dearborn area that are still close to this day, which is pretty awesome. I mean, a lot of people can't say that at 45.
Shout out to Wilk. Shout out to Sam.
Yeah, all those guys,
Krieger
Carlos
family.
Alvarado,
Yep, Carlos.
Keith McKay, all those guys, man, Hassan Mackey, Mobad, Yusuf, all those guys. I still talk to all the time.
The Shammies.
Get our families together. Yeah, the Salas, all those guys, man, Barry's. But when I made that decision, I dealt with some adults in the community first that, our class went undefeated for 2 years in every sport. So they were a special class that made runs in high school. And so I was the first one to kind of break them up, per se. And even my mother asked, when I said I want to go to Catholic Central, she said, why? You're happy, you got some of your best friends, you guys are phenomenal at sports, and you're walking away from all that. And I just, when you grow up in a single mother household, my grandmother and mom did as much as they could, but eventually you need a father figure. And that's what Catholic Central became to me. And I think that that's what God worked, in the background to lead me home to this place, to have that discipline, to have that father figure and coaches and priests and teachers. And that's exactly what it did for me. And so I'm less personal about Dearborn schools or my friends or my neighborhood or a lot of things that I seen growing up. It was, I think, something that was instilled to me and led to me by the Holy Spirit to be here, because a lot of things had to go right, and I had to get through a lot of adversity to finish here, and then obviously be back as a head football coach.
I think that's what's special about this place, especially in my position or even in a coaching position or even in Chris, who doesn't coach but is a coach to so many different kids. You get to see people come back. And like for me, I've seen so much growth in you from the time you were a senior here and been a part of a little bit of the journey and just us being friends and as close as we are and growing a lot together over the years. I mean, not always making, you being completely honest, not always making the best decisions when we were younger and helping each other get our feet back underneath us. Chris, when you left your area, did you feel the same thing? Did you feel like they had me tabbed to go to this specific high school, or did they already know that you were planning on doing something different?
So for me, Catholic Central was my first experience. Similar to Justin, household. So I was east side of Detroit, then the west side of Detroit, then back to the west side of Detroit, and then Wayne Westland for a year and a half. So I never knew what was coming next, and kind of being more of a lone wolf kind of guy, similar to Justin in a sense where I was a little bit ashamed of kind of like my circumstances. So I never really got close to people in middle school or elementary school, or really cultivated relationships because they're getting dropped off by two parents. You know, they have a family. Everyone's coming to the games, the mom, the dad, and so I was a lot.
You're
more
bouncing between areas.
Yeah, I was a lot more. I was a lot more private with my personal life. So yeah, I don't think people really ever had me like tabbed to go anywhere. I just knew that, similar to what Coach Cessante experienced, the reason why we came here is because my mother always said she wanted me to have some consistent male leadership and consistent male mentorship, irregardless of what she had going on romantically at the time. And so that's why, I mean, this place became so special to me. And, you know, seeing you guys who have always been great stewards of what this place represented, what it means and what happens to a young man when they come through these doors, but more importantly, the young men that turn into fathers and husbands that we produce to go into society. So that's one of the biggest things for me. I mean, when I came here, I just thought it was just a blessing from God. It was just a miracle. Like, that was more of what the experience was for me.
It was amazing how many people put in doubt or doubted what I was capable of doing here, and how many people wanted to tell me about that, whether it was directly or indirectly. And I remember that, and I remember that's exactly why I'm coming here, is because, you know, I only have to prove to myself.
Yep.
And you know, the one thing that, and I tell all the young men this, is how hard, you know, are you going to work? You know, if you have that staple, I mean, it's really hard to stop you when you're on a relentless pursuit to do something. And you know, there was times I walked out of this school. I didn't want to come back. I almost flunked out. You know, I mean, I was in culture shock. But and at times probably did to do it to spite the naysayers. But that all goes into your emotional growth and maturity as you're trying to find your way on a path that's not likely traveled right by everybody, right?
I think people are too egotistical to show that side, to say, hey, I almost got kicked out of Catholic Central, or I had to take all 3 summer school classes just to get back in. I know the story about you getting back in and who talked you into it. Can you touch on that story about when you tried to leave and a certain administrator pulled you in and said, Justin, you ain't going anywhere?
Yeah, no, I walked out of Miss Sharkey's class, who's still one of my favorite people in the world, and I'm very close with her to this day. She was a religious teacher. And something happened as regards to like the last straw for me. It had to do with athletics. I was really struggling in school just to find the consistency and understanding what I needed to do to be successful. But I had a tutor at the time. I was starting to pick it up. I was starting to find my way. And then something happened inside of football, and I just had enough. And I walked out. I shook all my friends' hands that were in the class, and I walked out. I remember driving home, you know, sobbing. And I was actually on the phone. We had the old, you know, phones that you know, somebody could beep in if they were calling you, right? But that was about it. But they still had the cord on them. And I called Dearborn literally as I walked in. And I was on the phone with their office, basically, you know, how do I transfer? You know, what is this process? I was dead set. And honestly, walking out of Catholic Central at that time, probably getting expelled. If you just walk out of school like that, you know, it was definitely a stern environment and a lot of discipline and not a lot of leeway. And I remember getting 2 calls. You know, it was Coach Gruey and Mr. Lewis, and just said, "What are you doing? You know, you're a shamrock." It still gets me emotional this day because to be 15 years old and making a change in your life, to look back of where would my life be today? What would I be doing? I really don't know. I really don't know. And so those conversations, and it wasn't because I was some 5-star football player, honestly. Like, I was still finding my way to see if I was going to be a guy or not. Nobody was giving me a scholarship. Nobody was banking on me of doing something that they could then take advantage of or that would benefit them. They did it because they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And they saw that I was working hard to get there and that I fit this place and this place fit me. And if they didn't do that, I was gone. Because my mom wasn't stopping me. Tim Henry was involved in that as well, obviously. Gene Gruey and Dave Lewis. And if they don't make those calls, if they don't reach out to somebody, take time out of their day, and instead of, probably back in the day was yelling at you or saying, fine, this guy's expelled and how do we discipline this or how do we make sure he doesn't come back? They reeled me back in and obviously saved my life, in my opinion.
The personality of those two people, though, when you think about how much time we've gotten to spend with them over the years, it doesn't surprise you.
Yeah.
Once you get to know a Gene Gruey and a Dave Lewis and other people, sometimes they give off that tough exterior, but on the inside, they're just like us. Like, we all like to walk around like we're a little bit tougher than we are, but I don't hate saying this on here. I'm a big crier. If something hits me in the emotions, I'm going to start bawling.
Yeah.
I know you're the exact same way. Chris, we haven't gotten you to crack too much emotionally.
I don't really play into the whole like tough guy like bravado though. It is
Sometimes.
I'm more so be like
you're more like the vibes guy.
Yeah, I'm more
a couple dance moves, a couple
I'm more
workout
like,
videos.
I always remind people when I was I was raised in the trap and the country club. So when I was in high school, I hung out with hockey and lacrosse kids. So a lot of when I was being like fundamentally kind of like built, irregardless of coming from, what happens in high school kind of really forms your personality, and so even though I was from the inner city, when I got here, I just naturally attached more to like those hockey, lacrosse. For some reason, those like that just were always kind of my type of guys. And so I was kind of more of a swaggy guy than like the whole, I'm not gonna say anybody's fake tough, but like the whole like just super tough meathead. It was like, I always believe that, there's a difference between, your personality type and your leadership style. So I may joke and mess around, but I'm still going to lift more than you and still like play well and work hard and come in first in conditioning drills. And I don't believe the whole bravado thing is necessary for everyone, unless that's just genuinely your personality type. Like that just wasn't mine. I could vibe and have fun with coach and we can laugh and we can joke and then we can go lock in and give an amazing speech to change people's lives.
That's
so.
what family's all about. That's exactly how it should be.
Yeah. That was the thing here. I'm from a place of confrontation. Where I grew up, my family. As far as being a tough guy, like you had to prove it every day in my neighborhood. And what I consider tough now compared to what I thought was tough when I was a teenager or in college is way different. Toughness is about consistency. It's about empathy. It's about passion. It's about directing your intensity in the right manner and how you treat people, ultimately how you make others feel. Because that's tough. That's tough to consistently do that with everything else going on in your life, to manage your time and to manage your relationships. But that's tough. But I think this place really humbled me in that, you can't come over here and just deal with things that you dealt with in the neighborhood. If somebody said something you didn't like or somebody, is pressing on you in a way.
You could deal with it. You just can't deal with it the same
way.
way.
Can't deal with it the same way. Yeah. Now we grew up in a different era. There was still, some good fist fights at the old school and whatnot, but it's a different world, which is fine. But it definitely allowed me to have some emotional maturity here to understand that there's boundaries and limitations, and that not everything has to be dealt with violence. And obviously, it's even better if it's not. There's always a unless you're defending yourself, right? So it's funny. I'm reading this book from the Navy SEAL. And I can't believe it, his Warrior Kid.
Oh, Jocko Willink.
Yeah, Jocko Willink. Yeah, so I'm wearing a Warrior Kid right now, and we're talking about being able, I'll put my middle daughter in jiu-jitsu. She's got a lot of energy, and that it's great that you can defend yourself, but you want to try to avoid that at all costs. So Catholic Central was that for me.
Which daughter are we putting in jiu-jitsu?
Stella. Stella, yeah.
All right, so we have to have a little transparency session because me and him have laughed about this consistently probably for like 5 years. So you did a great job of explaining your quotes because I have given an Obama quote, a Maya Angelou quote, like a doctor, I've attributed a lot of quotes as like you saying them,
Yeah.
but he always has to correct me. So I'm so happy you're like, okay, no, this quote I got from, because there's about like 5 quotes, and like I've done speeches all across the country, and I'm like, and Coach Cessante once said, and like I would always say it, and then one day like Babicz calls me, he goes, you know Maya Angelou said that? Was that like,
but see how things are passed on. So like, which one? Of your
As long
quotes
as the
that-
message got delivered.
What's one of your quotes that you've said like, hey, like this
okay,
is something I got from Coach?
so the first one that I always bring up is, people will never remember like what you said, like what you did, like how much money you had. They'll remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
Like that's one that I always use. The other one I speak about, obviously, bring your lunch pail to work. You work all week. And
the weight room quote you use a lot. The ones in the weight room.
Yeah. Man.
God's gift to you.
Oh yeah, God. That's like in that's in my books. Yeah. I lead a ton of speeches with that. I always thought that was God's gift to you is life. Your gift to God is what you do with your life. And the greatest gift you can give to God is, is just focusing on getting better. Is what I always share with people. And I've attributed that.
Well, I've just grabbed the baton at some point. But yeah, definitely not smart enough to make any of those up. I think for me, like, as you read books and as you're around your mentors and as you're, one of the things even Brian Kelly always sticks with me, and I tell the boys, like, it's not our job to notice you, it's your job to get noticed. But all those are, you watch Nick Saban or you read about Vince Lombardi, like, and a lot of stuff that Coach Mack had pulled from was a lot of Vince Lombardi stuff, Paul Bear Bryant, things of that nature. But like it's how you pass them on and how you make them relative to your relationships and your story inside of your program or your organization, right? And that they mean something, that's at the end of the day, like this is the most important time for me as a football coach. And look, we know how to play the branding game, and it's because we want to do things the right way, and we want kids to want to come here because we pour into them and resource. But, as far as what we did on the college bus tour, what we just did in Las Vegas, what we do at team camp, what we do with our senior retreats, we're connecting. We're building a substance. We're building a ground to stand on that actually means something. And there's been 2 compliments that I've had at this school since I've was blessed to be, the head football coach and Aaron, pushing me to put my resume in. We've prayed more in this program, and not just prayer, and not to ever demean the Hail Mary, our Father, but trying to teach the young men how to speak to God and how to listen, and also that we play really hard for each other. And that's because we spend a lot of time together. And the time spent is structured enough, or you have an eye or a thumb on the pulse to understand what it's supposed to do. Now, when it doesn't, how do you deal with that? And luckily, being here, going in the 4th year, we haven't had that issue. But you watch these kids bond on this trip. You watch them get outside their cliques. Watch them learn a little bit more about each other than just, that's my boy and I like hanging out with them. Maybe learning some scar tissue and some things to build a relationship on that means something, and not get too far away from that. But, that a lot of those quotes, this past year, I worked more on our prayers for team prayer before games, our team messages. I mean, I really got into the lab, and because you don't want your team to get on this emotional roller coaster, and you want to keep them on task, and you also want to identify what the weaknesses and strengths are and what you need to focus on. So this year, the football part is easy. You always continue to learn. You have great coaches around you. I coach 2 positions. I have I'm involved in a little bit of everything, but how are you engaging, keeping motivated, and connecting all the stuff you did in the offseason and to continue that workflow through the football season? That's the challenge. That's the hard part, because you're responsible for a lot of people and a lot of personalities that you got to get them all on the bus and moving in one direction for the same mission with one result.
Yep.
One result. So
not easy to do.
No, it's not. It's a lot of time
think
and
one
effort.
thing that you've changed in the program that other coaches have started to do as well, and Mitch Hancock was doing this as well before, doing team camps.
Yeah.
I know you guys go up to Hope College now on a yearly basis. This will be our 3rd season coming up doing it.
Yeah.
Third season coming up. And when you talk about peeling the layers of the onion back, I'm always amazed at the stories the kids come back with. You'll always tell me just how, and everybody outside of the hallways here at Catholic Central think that these kids are all rich and they have everything in 2-parent households, when
So
we
far
know
from the truth. Yeah.
when they leave this place, that's when real life starts for them. We probably said it on every single podcast.
Oh, no, yeah.
One thing I think you've done a good job with our football program and other programs you've worked with and other kids you've been able to come in contact with is meeting them where they are. When you guys go to that team camp, touch on some of the special things you guys are able to share there outside of football.
I heard this great, I saw this saying, I think it was at Rutgers, put your shield down. And what put your shield down means is if you want to be a great leader or you want to be a great teammate, you want to be a great brother, put your shield down, open up yourself to be vulnerable. And what that allows me as a football coach and where I transitioned from assistant with my man here to, what I believe I've transitioned in today is I'm able to speak with the kids and not at them because I am vulnerable and probably share some things that I'm embarrassed about or I don't want to share, but I never want to wear this halo that doesn't exist. I don't want to ever pretend that I'm perfect. If I'm struggling, I told the kids on the bus tour, I came in and I said, my wife, she feels like a single mother right now. Two of my kids were crying. I wasn't home. They were up till 11:30 at night. I've been gone a lot. And I got emotional about it. I want to share. I don't feel like a good husband and a good father right now. And I want, and it's not to make you guys feel bad or to put me in a situation where I need to be celebrated for it. I'm just telling you, like, I go through hard days too. And like, my family's making a sacrifice for to be here, and your family's making a sacrifice for you to be here. So what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? Are we going to be on our phones the whole time? Are we going to find ourselves? Are we going to find our personality as a team? And getting up in front of them, and we had 2 alumni in the cut ready to speak to them, which was an awesome addition to what we were doing. But they get to see you're a real person that goes through real emotions every day. You're not sitting up here as this fake tough guy or sitting up here with this halo or Mr. Perfect or it's about you. It's not. It's about how can I share whatever I'm going through so you become a better man, or when you have to deal with something as a son or a brother that you can navigate through.
Sometimes working with these kids can heal you. Like if you're going through it, being around these kids or walking into this building and being around our people, like just being on spring break and being away from the kids for 2 weeks sucks. There's you come back in the building, there's no energy. I mean, you see your people and stuff like that. From year 1, now you're entering your 4th season, correct?
Yes, sir.
So from year 1 to year 4 going in, what have you seen the biggest change in?
Well, number one, as much as we believe we do for this place does triple for us, right? It's made me a better father. It's made me a better husband. It's made me closer in spiritual faith. And I learn something more about myself every single day because of these young men and the people in this building. I think from year 1 to year 4, I had the anxiety of how are we going to breed toughness? How are we going to execute this plan that I sat in front of the committee and said that we were going to accomplish? And I want it now. Patience is not my virtue. I'm not a patient person. And it's crazy. I was talking to Miss Sharkey to come full circle that first year. I was sitting upstairs. I think one of my daughters was just born or she was young and she's running around. And I said to Miss Sharkey, I said, sometimes I think that my fire and temperament can get the best of me. And she goes, hold on, Justin, that's your blessing. Don't let it be your curse. So use that fire, just understand how to control it. And so going in and understanding that I had to wait for this to take time and you have to build a culture and that you have to literally connect with every young man and coach in your program. I mean, that's the difference. It's happening now in a cycle that makes sense for us. We know what to expect, but it's still an individual each and every time that you have to connect with so that you know how to coach them. You know what they're going through, and you can get the best version of themselves. Whether they're the last guy on the bench or a 5-star, it doesn't matter. They're all relative to the success of this school and the program. And understanding that and engaging in that process, we come from the old school, yes sir, no sir. You're not walking down that old breakfast drive hallway to the coach's office unless your hair was on fire.
And sweating, nervous.
And you were still nervous, whether you were a captain or a freshman. I think that like, learning how to connect and continue to be engaged in that process is intense. It can be exhausting. My players can call me at 11 o'clock at night or 1 in the morning if they needed to. If they need me, I'll be there. And understanding that they know it's a real open door, that we are not just saying that, but that the actions are behind it. So,
I mean, I think we see a lot of people too, and it's not to cut down other programs, but it just happens everywhere. They throw a saying up on a wall. They put a saying on a T-shirt. This is our theme for the year, but then there's nothing to stand on or stand behind that at all. I think that's one thing we do really well here in football and in other programs. And Chris, one thing that he touched on, you've always said in our podcast that there were people here that cared about you because of who you were, not because you were a football player and a young man, or a lacrosse player. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm saying it in public, or a lacrosse player for a short amount of time. We always looked at you as a young man first. Did you always feel like that here? Like, these guys just don't want a piece of me because I'm a big kid. They actually care about me as a whole person.
Oh, 1,000%. I tell people that's why my experience here is very different than most. I believe a majority of my relationships were like that, from Coach Cessante to you, to the Mike Max, the Kevin Griffins, the Mr. Petrovic. Very minimal conversations.
Father Huber, who you always talk about.
My goodness, how could I dare forget him? He was, I had a similar kind of coming to Jesus moment, sitting down in his office, discussing my future here, and if it was the place to be, because I got fed up, man. Coming from where I was from, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but when you're young, like that 13 or 14, I think, once you hit that like into sophomore year, junior year, it gets a lot better for some reason. But when you're like a freshman or sophomore, that constant reminder when you're insecure that everyone here has a much better situation than me. Everyone's not only like, it's like your grades are better than mine, your family life. So like it makes you really question your self-worth. Imagine a daily reminder every day that your situation is awful.
Yep.
But the strength comes because you realize that even in the midst of adversity, that God is still God.
Yep.
And that he will take the least of thee and plumb them in the front if you can endure during that adversity. And so learning that lesson has been one that has propelled me all throughout life. And that's why I'm able to just navigate against different sectors, because I know that in order to win, you have to lose for a long time and cultivate those relationships, pour into people, learn from people, get wisdom from the elders. I know you hate when I say elders, but that's just kind of what I like.
I'm getting more used to it.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, and that's irregardless of color. Whenever I hear you speak, Coach Sante speak, my mother speak, uncle, I'm at the barbershop talking to one of them, that those lessons you get from the elders, man, you can't take those things for granted. Some of the conversations that we had led to me being able to go on to college, and I appreciate Coach Asante for throwing us a signing day party. I know he probably forgets about it, but that was a monumental event. And it was guys that were D2 to all the way up to guys that were Division I, 4 and 5-star guys. And I remember it was Muscle Milky. They gave out hats. We had walk-in music. It made a little kid that came from nothing and came in, and there were people that thought he maybe he wasn't going to go anywhere or wasn't going to make it. That was kind of like a a major graduation for me.
Well, my teammate called me about you. He was at Ferris, Ryan Brady, Coach Ryan Brady, who's a awesome guy, and said, what do you think about Okoye? I love him. I say he's got tremendous potential, and I think he's just coming to his own. He might have bloomed a little late to understand what he has, but once he figures it out, it's going to click. And I said, look, there's going to be a point, just like every freshman, you're going to have to go kick down his door, and you're going to have to drag him around a little bit, and we all need that at times. But but to go back to your point, like, there's a point here where I felt the same exact way. I'm like, man, do I even belong here? Like, everybody has it. And you really don't know. And even in today with mass communication, social media, you're measuring yourself against way more people with a bunch of crap that's out there. But where it clicked for me going in my junior year is I was like, oh, I can change the ceiling of my family here. I am surrounding myself with some people with better situations and more money and more opportunity and better grades and better athletes. But you know what? That's going to make me be more like that, and that is going to change my circumstances.
Exactly.
And when I figured that out, the head was down. There was no more questioning. The tradition piece, and this is why it was so important to have our alumni and two legendary brothers here and at Yale speak to us and get emotional in front of 52 boys. Well, first of all, you connect the alumni, and they remember that Catholic Central is just the same way now, and they see a lot of themselves in these young men. But I think you have to know where you've been in order to know where you go. So the more that we have alumni connect here and come back and be around, like, even if they don't say much, the players, the student athletes, the students, period, can feel that. But now you have them show up on the road. We had the Dankert brothers in Boston. You had the Mahalik brothers in Yale and in New Haven. And for them to get up and speak, and especially the success that they've seen. And then when they talk about Catholic Central, and that was the foundation of success for them, and they get emotionally drawn from that experience, the kids are like, man, are they absorbing that? So they know exactly what they might not completely understand what it's going to be for them in their future, but they're starting to realize, like, man, if these guys are up in front of us speaking like this, like, we're getting this place catapult me. What am I learning right now that is going to make me different and make me strive for excellence while others aren't doing what I'm willing to do?
Yeah, what else can I take advantage of? We had Jeff Wisk on here last week, 2 weeks ago, and he talked about we're like, what's your favorite memory? Like the biggest game. He goes, it's not anything in the NFL. It's not anything in Michigan State. It's not the Browns versus Dolphins. Not this game versus this game. He goes, 100 times out of 100, you give me Tom Mack on one side, Alfred Casa on that other sideline, and I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
And that's how much it meant to somebody who's been at every level of professional sports, insanely successful as a business leader, businessman, manager, just people person and human being. And his finest memory that he would just pay anything for would be to come back and play in a CC Rice football game.
And it speaks to our great separator that I always speak about. And I go and I speak to these universities, I speak to these other schools. And the biggest distinction between Catholic Central and them, I believe in, correct me if I'm wrong, we're the only learning institution, so I'm going to go across all levels of education, where your most successful and pristine alums can't leave the place. Yeah. You got the Tomies, Mike, Wiska, the Mahalik brothers, Turek, like people that are like, we don't, like, our most successful alums never close the
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
It's because of the culture that we created here. And I believe that some of their best emotional, I believe when you leave here from a materialistic wealth standpoint, like there's more. There's a ton of growth you begin to experience. You much more vanity metrics, 1,000%, nothing wrong with that. But I believe some of your best relationship building experiences occur here. Some of your best like family bonding moments occurred here. So because everything else is so like temporary. You know, in college, people leave, people come, they go, especially with the portal. Professional level, whether it's sports, whether it's business, people get fired, people leave, people come and go. Here, some of the most organic relationships, people from different backdrops, different walks of life that don't have to talk to each other, but they do.
Get to. Yep.
And they're forced to, because at the end of the day, you're a child. You come here to become a man.
No doubt.
And so you're taught, when you meet someone, you pour into them. One of the things you say, how's your day going? I was re-listening to one of our other podcasts, and we teach people that you pour before you critique. You construct before you deconstruct. You figure out, who is this person? Where are they from? What makes them tick? When you were talking, man, it brought chills to my body, because I remember hitting that exact same frame when I was a junior. And people ask, what was the best moment of my life? And it was when I got inducted into the Catholic League Hall of Fame, because I remember feeling like I didn't belong at all. And that was for the first time in my life. I was like, God genuinely put me at CC for a reason, and because I listened to what he said, not what I wanted to do. I let his will be done and not my will be done. A place where I didn't think I belonged, like, I now get to become a part of it for the rest of my life. And then being back here, us all coming back here, you know, and sometimes I do think it kind of feeds that little kid in us sometimes when we get to come back here. And now it's not a question of do we belong, but it's bringing others into the fold and giving them that same life experience that we know is going to turn them into better men for society. One of the things that Ed always says is that the world is genuinely a better place with more shamrocks in it. And the lessons that you learn, the skills that you cultivate while here, irregardless of personality type, just makes you a much finer, sharpened human being.
Well, listen, to take from that, I think that everybody takes great pride, especially if they put a brick in the foundation. So if I tell these kids how are you going to feel walking down these hallways in 5, 10, 20 years? How are you going to feel when you walk past your teammates? They're going to say, man, I miss that guy, or man, I'm glad I don't see that guy. But there's that pride, and then that responsibility to pay it forward and pay it back. I mean, I have a great responsibility to pay this place back, and how I impact the people around me that I'm blessed to every single day. The other thing is the familiarity with the alumni, that we went through something hard. You know, we had a dinner out in California, Mike Martin and I, with a bunch of alumni that couldn't have been from the more different classes as far as just growing up socioeconomically, backgrounds, what they were doing for a living. I mean, everything from aerospace to shooting Hollywood movies, you know, the whole nine. We sat around like we've known each other for years because there was a familiarity that poured into what our experience at Catholic Central and how much it did do for us and how much it does still play a part, whoever that person was in the school and or that quote that hit us or that experience and some of that scar tissue, because it's hard. The familiarity is that it was hard, you know, and I think that all plays into what our tradition is. You know, having 60 alumni involved with the school on a daily basis right now, having those alumni still get emotional about their experience. And, you know, some people will look at it and say, oh, what a bunch of losers. Their best time of their life was high school. It's not about being the best time of our life. Best time of our lives is having our kids or getting married or a professional success or, you know, duck the Hall of Fame, whatever it may be. What it was is it was a surefire foundation that was created that we would always lean back to. No matter how bad my life was, I knew bad decisions I made or trouble I was in, I knew I could reflect back that, man, when I was 15 and 16, I could overachieve. I could engage in the process. I could work harder than anybody. I could have good spiritual faith. I could make good decisions. So why can't I do it now at 21? Why can't I do it now at 45?
It's our foundation.
Yeah.
I believe like goodness, discipline, knowledge is not a saying. It's genuinely a way of life. I tell people.
It's in the Bible.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, one of the most beautiful aspects of Catholic Central is this. Number one, we have the most national merit scholars, but we also win championships. And we also have the most community Christian service hours. That is the ultimate building of what a young man, or I don't have any young women, but just what a child of God should be. You don't have to pick an area. When you come here, it's mental, physical, spiritual, and you don't get to slack in either category. You know, I always love that when you walk down the hallways, there's a direct correlation between our scholars and our athletes. And I'm not saying that every athlete here was a 4.0 student, because I know I wasn't. I can't speak for. I know none of us were in here.
No.
Except maybe Sean.
Exactly.
No? All right.
Sean.
We can bond over that one.
Yeah.
But when I see like the Benny Azukas, I see like the Jack Janis, I see these guys and I see their grades. And then I see how type of young men they are in their community. And I see a guy like Jack Dorgan who goes out and wins a business, within the same 24 hours, wins a business conference, then turns around and wins a state championship game, and then turns around and helps his other buddies as they start their own business and they're knitting sweaters and doing gift packages.
He's now
to give back to the community.
Now a lacrosse manager.
And then being a lacrosse manager, all while being a first-team All-Stater. You don't see that anywhere else, man. You and then him not being an outlier. I can pick another guy like Jack in soccer, in lacrosse, in football, in DECA, in band, and the media club. You don't get that. Every other place it's like good old 90s stereotype. Let's shove the jocks are shoving guys in lockers. Oh, I can't read, man. Do my homework. Or no, a guy that benches the most might have the highest IQ here. And he also might be an altar boy at service. Yeah. You can't make that type of stuff up.
I had a parent ask me the other day, her son plays baseball with Brooksy, and she's like, well, what's Catholic Central like? I said, Catholic Central is a place for any type of young man that wants to work hard. Yeah. Very simple. And I was like, we're a place where some kids who might be a little bit of an outlier, maybe a little quirky, they might go to another high school and they might be a target. At this place, we celebrate kids like that. Like you'll get your biggest, I look, like you said, you mentioned Benny Azuka. Benny leaves full semester early. He left over Christmas. Within the first month there, he was student of the week at Virginia Tech, really as a high school senior. But that shows you the foundation these kids get here. One saying that I always like to use is that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Justin, you touched on it earlier. We steal little things from our mentors, from the people that meant the most to us. I feel like we got spoiled because we had Coach Mack here. Mm-hmm. One of the original, before people were even using the word culture in programs, Coach Mack was culture.
I had Coach Mack too. Man.
The magic is in believing. I pointed out all three of us. Okay. The magic is in believing. The Wham never loses yardage. For me, I always think of that. Like I think of everything like running the Wham. All right, this might be a tough yard to get, but I ain't losing yardage on it.
Doubt.
I'm putting my head. If I got a block on it, I'm double teaming and blowing that guy back. If I'm running the ball, I'm getting that yard. But that's the kind of thing I think that we were built with. One thing you touched on earlier, and I remember our conversation. It was after we lost to Cass Tech last year in a heartbreaker, year before we win the state title.
That. No, I'm joking.
I don't remember the game. I blacked out a little bit from the game, but I remember some of the conversations after, and you were down. And everybody here was crushed because we feel like we let one slip a little bit. And I remember you saying to me, and you put your head down when you said it, you said, I feel like I have to be a better father. And I remember saying to you, Justin, maybe that's the one thing missing from this whole thing. Maybe that's the reason we couldn't get over. There's always some little thing.
Finding balance, the right balance.
And you found more this year.
Yeah.
And I feel like you had more fun. I feel like you weren't as anxiety based. You were tighter with the kids than ever before. And it ended up working out. Now, I don't think that was the reason, but I do think
it makes you realize,
in
failure, it makes you realize and self-reflect to a point that, you know, you can let it be destructive or you can let it help you grow. And honestly, I know this in life now. I've just, you know, I know I'm 45, but, you know, well-weathered 45. You know, God does not give you things. He does not, in my opinion, if you're spiritually aligned with him, does not give you things you are not ready for. So, yeah, we could have won the state championship in year 2. Would have deteriorated our program? Would it have been too soon? Were we ready for it? Not just the kids, not the student, but as a program. And if you told me I had to take these 2 lumps in order to have 10 years or 15 years of success compared to having the immediate, and then you're going to fall off, you're going to deteriorate, I'm gonna take the long-term success every single day.
Delayed gratification, baby.
Yeah, and so you know, I truly believe that then, all right, well, God had something to teach you, you know, you and your program, and then sometimes things just don't work out, right? Like, and you make mistakes as a leader, and you don't make the right decisions, or you don't prepare them right mentally, and you learn from it. Like, are you gonna get defeated? You know, and look, we all go through our episodes. You got to sometimes take time to mourn. You know, you have to address your emotions and your hurt. But how are you going to get up and move forward, and how are you going to teach the kids? Because the kids are watching you. And that's what I learned my first 2 years the most is, like, I can't keep being like this. Like, I think there's a good balance to show kids, like, yeah, it's all right to hurt because that means you care. But now you have to get back up, and what are you going to do with it?
Comac 24-hour rule, man.
Yeah.
Changed my whole entire life, man. From sports, business, romance, faith. Like that, like you get 20, when something really good happens, you get 24 hours to celebrate. Something really bad happens, you 24 hours to deal with it. Feel sorry for yourself.
I'm down to like 3 months.
Maybe
2. I'm working on the 24. I'm gonna get there.
Year
one day.
one, I would say probably 4 months. Year 2 after the cast.
Yeah, 3 months. Yeah.
And then this was nice.
Yeah.
This year was good.
But look, it's bigger than football for us.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't care about the negativity and what everybody has to say. You'll never understand, and I don't expect you to. And God bless you.
And I don't care if they do. I really don't.
But like, this is more than football. Like, you're protecting your work, your family, and you're teaching these kids how to build their armor for going into life that can be merciless. So, you know, like you understanding how that whole piece plays in and how much you put into something. I'm not just going to give it up and be happy about it. I'm just not going to fall short and be happy. That doesn't mean I'm going to bounce back. But, you know, I want people around me that care. You know, I also want people around me that can bounce back, right? And you had to pick me up, and Ed's had to pick me up, and you had to be light with me seeing that. You know, you know you're hurting, and it only feels like you're the only person in the world that it's hurting like that. But it's because we put so much into it.
Yep.
You know, we didn't just go on a bus tour for recruiting. That's the last thing I cared about. We all spent time away from our families. We spent time away from doing other things that may be more attractive, you know, as far as just going on vacation or whatever it may be. We said, hey, we are intentionally going to spend time to build our armor and care enough that when we go out and play for each other, we're playing for something bigger that nobody will be able to understand because they didn't spend this kind of time. Go spend that time. You know,
people don't want to do that. They'd rather people would rather sit on the outside and fire arrows at us or other successful schools, not just CC, but just fire arrows and say, well, they're cheating. They're paying players. They're doing this. They're doing this. And it's like, no, you just don't want to put the work in that we're putting in emotionally and spiritually before anything else. And then everything, whatever sport it is, comes after that. That's what people don't understand. That's the secret sauce here.
Well, and I feel sorry for them. You know, like at the end of the day, like we are blessed to experience this and have the people around, whether it's a Coach Rods or Coach Magnes or Coach Gruys or Father Words or Father Donner or Coach Mac, Coach Karate, all these people who maybe had different personalities and maybe some different methods, but they all operated under one understanding of a mission, goodness, discipline, and knowledge, and work ethic, and bonding through that work ethic and not being willing to surrender it with humility and respect. And that's awesome. And, you know, I if anything, I talk kids away, you know, if they're in here for a shadow or they're come to our camp and their parents are able to talk to us, I'm trying to talk them out of it, because this place isn't for everybody, and everybody's not for this place. You know, I don't care what you do well. If you don't fit into understanding that you can come in here and put your own selfish motivations aside and agenda and build for something bigger, because that's what life's going to take. You know, this is more, you know, everything affects my family. Everything affects my wife, my kid. Everything affects my brothers and my friends. So everything that I do has to be bigger. If I'm just worried about me, then you're just going to be a bull in a china shop and break all the glass and not care about the collateral damage. And you're going to move on, and life isn't going to be real happy, you know? And I think that's what we're all trying to do, is we're trying to be happy, at the same time stay true to your roots and understand what God wants you for your mission in life. You know?
When you got married and had kids, did that change that intensity? Because I feel like for me, my first MHSAA meeting, the first thing out of Jack Roberts' mouth, who was the director at the time, the athletic director has to keep the calmest head in the building at all times. Yeah. First thing he said, and I'm like, I mean, I'm single at the time, and I'm thinking, I might have a hard time with that one, which I still do sometimes. I get a little fired up. I got a 15-yarder your rookie season for not saying anything at all. Didn't swear, didn't cuss, nothing. Didn't yell at the official. He was upset about.
I haven't got a 15-yard in 3 years. I just want to point
I feel like
out.
You did. Somebody took one for you. Sofrin took a sideline
Cody
penalty.
Patton took one. I did not. I have not had one yet. So.
I think that official meant to throw that flag on you. I just was like, I'll take it. It's his first year. Don't worry about it. But you talk about struggling through adversity. You talk about teaching the kids how to pick themselves back up. When you started coaching here at CC as our head coach, I remember sitting down with you at Leo's, and I asked you, Justin, why do you think you're the head coach for Catholic Central? Why are you the man for this job? And you flat out told me, God called me to do this. God called me to be here. It's time. It's the right time in my life. I felt that. Everything went great through the process, things like that. But you came into that first year coaching, going through a whirlwind of health issues in your own family, some big losses in your own family. Meanwhile, you're trying to not necessarily rebuild our culture, but just put that final stamp on it to get us going in the right direction. Again, not like we weren't, but we needed to tweak a few things. You went through, like I said, a lot of loss, a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, not only here, but I know there were things going on internationally as well that you were wearing as well with your family members and things like that. How did you find that balance? You go through that first season, it's baptism by fire. You catch a tough loss to Northville. You're going through all this family stuff. How were you able to pick yourself back up?
Well, I got to start with the month before Dan Anderson resigned. I was learning how, the first time in my life, to surrender to God. I was literally going outside, taking my dog Otis Blue Redding out for at midnight. I was staying up really late. I was really beating myself up, and I just felt like what I was doing with my life for 25 years was coming to a head. I think your gift and your curse, your passion for something becomes your gift and your curse. I think at every point you might end up hating what you love to do. And I just felt there was something else that God was calling me to do. And I would literally say, if it's me shoveling crap, I'll be the best crap shoveler. Just tell me. And I was doing this for 30 days. And then, I got that note that coach was resigning, and I didn't think twice about putting my name in for it or nothing. The first thing that came to my mind was, wow, Catholic Central football is probably going to change forever. And then it was you, Aaron, and I can't thank you enough to, just coming to reel me back in and just say, hey, I don't know if it's going to work out, but you should at least take a chance. And I started this is the thing about God. You start listening to God. I'm not trying to have all the answers for once in my life, because I don't have them, and I'm sick of trying to find them. And God's just sitting there like, you're going to learn, young man. You're going to learn, young man, because this is going to be way bigger than just your career. This is for your life. This is for the balance you need to find. So when that circumstance came up, and then I'm going through the process, I started feeling closer and drawn closer to this is what he's calling me. I never knew if I would coach again. I'd passed up some college opportunities. I was, up to here in my career. I was
still growing, out. Legacy still growing at the time.
Stressed out, just coming off a lot of tragedies and just heartache in my personal life and my family. And God drew me back to the one thing that he knew would balance me out and make me a better man and father and husband, and also a place I think that needed me at the time to come back and use my career and my experiences that God blessed me with to pour into and to pay back. And so with all of that, going through that first year, was extremely intense because I'm like, oh, here we go again. I have no balance. Here we go again. I'm gonna run the tread off the tires, and because I knew, and maybe I didn't know, but something in me spiritually was like, you have to make sure you pray more. You have to make sure that faith is at the forefront. And the more that I did that inside the program, the more balance I was finding, the better my staff was as acclimating to our culture, even the guys that didn't go here, and the better our team was growing in their bond. Now, did we find the success that then that leads to immediate success. Well, what is success to you? You know, is success rings and trophies, or is it positive impact on others? Is it positive impact on lives? Is it giving these young men the real fruit to grow and to build their armor and to become great leaders in society and in their families? And that's what it is, you know. And yes, we do want to win. I don't want to compete. I want to dominate. Yes, I do. But it's not the end all. It's just not. And it's hard to say that when I mourn over something for 3 months. But the reality of it is that's not what drives me every day. These kids do, you know, you guys do, right? Like, you know, making sure this place lives for another 100 years because of what it does for people's lives, you know.
It's not easy. You know, we talk a lot about failing forward here and tinkering with certain programs here. It's tough because I don't get to coach a program, and I don't want to. I mean, I miss coaching a ton. I coach the Walled Lake Braves. That gives me my little coaching fix. Yeah. But not coaching here is tough for me. But it allows me to love up our coaches, to pick our athletes up and tell them after a tough loss, guys, the journey doesn't always end with us raising a state championship banner. There's plenty of journeys I've had here that have been better than a state championship team because the kids just wanted it more. They cared about each other more. The more we can make our kids care about each other here, the better off we're going to be on every single front. That's why every single sport, every single activity is successful. There's no difference between athletics and activities. Yeah. The same amount of work. I know how hard the academic team works. I know how hard robotic works. I see them here 7 days a week in that robotics lab. Yeah. I know they're putting the time in. I feel like, and people think we started that saying iron sharpens iron. I'm like, guys, that came from the book of Proverbs. I stole that from the Bible. Yeah. But it really is. This is a place where iron sharpens iron. If you're an athletic team and you have a state championship assembly, you know damn well that academic team wants to do the same thing with a natty title or somebody else or DECO or something, esports, whatever it might be. That's why this is a place for every kid. I also feel like it can be a place for every type of servant leader. If you come to Catholic Central and you don't really want to pour into the people, you don't want to pour into the kids, you think that just coaching here is a title, you're not going to last. No. You mentioned guys like Tom Mack, 41 years. Yeah. Coach Rod, 40-plus years. Coach Magny's on year 52. Yeah. You look at some of our other longer tenured coaches, Dave Wilson, Brandon Kalinecki. Like, when you come to coach here, we want it to feel like the Mafia. Yeah. I don't want you to leave. And if you're out, I'm going to find a way to pull you back in. Same thing with you.
Blood in, blood out, man.
That's it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe not that quite intense, but it really to us, I know it feels like that.
Sounds like, let me cut that.
Keep that in there. I like it.
It's live and die for CC High.
It's true.
You know what does that mean? Live and die for your purpose. Live and die for your people. I would do anything for this squad. Do anything for my family. All bets are off.
You know, people hear that saying too. Live and die. Well, we don't want our kids dying for. And it's like, guys, we're not saying literally. Die for Catholic Central.
But you live and die for Christ.
Exactly. It's the same. It's the same thing. We're just in this building, the people. It's just an extension of that.
Yeah. No, it's all representative of it, and it's going to get harder in the world in the day and age that we are to represent the things that you truly believe in and know that's right. It's going to be more challenged than ever. And are we building young shamrocks to go out with an armor built to do that, to stand up? What is right? Who they worship? Why their life and their opportunities were given to them, and then instill that into their family. You know,
how much is coaching here as a head coach? And I know you were an assistant for years, head coach on JV as well. But being in charge of this program and these young men, how has it affected you as a father?
Tremendously.
I mean, love on a side note, I love the relationships that and I also love that you're who you are and you have 3 daughters as well. I love it. Just secretly, I do love it. Yeah. It does give my 2 boys options for the future. I hear you're marrying them off to other people and stuff like
Only
that.
Only CC guys. So.
All right, that's fine. So I'm on the list. We're good.
Keep it in the family. Right. Yeah.
But how much has that helped you become a father? Has it helped change you?
Yeah, I mean, number one, having girls, and then the far end of the spectrum of coaching at all boys school and the testosterone you come home to the estrogen, right? But it has, because your response, you have to be able to control your emotions. You cannot bring your work home with you. And also, like, I have a responsibility to practice what I preach. So, Duke comes over for Thanksgiving. All these guys have been in and out of my house. We sit together at church. We eat when they come home. They might come over and swim, whatever the case may be.
Mandatory pictures with your daughters after every
Yeah,
game.
my daughters love this place. This is home. Like that was the thing that melted my heart the most. We were driving here one day, and I knew like they were here a lot, and they're like, "Dad, no, we love this. This is like our second home," and that attributes to the people, right? Like they feel that it's not the facilities, it's the people, and they feel connected, and they're willing to sacrifice their father and their husband for the good of the overall bigger mission. That is not just about winning football games, but it's about what you're pouring into those boys. And they feel how good these young men are starting to become men. They feel that they watch the transition now every year. The hardest part about coaching is sending these boys off into the next phase of their life. I was not prepared for saying goodbye and the emptiness feeling of the season being over, whether we won or lost, or watching these kids enroll early, or watching them graduate. I still do not do very well with it.
I'm terrible at graduation.
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. And
every year.
Since, you are watching them enter another phase, but you're still back where I think you were a significant piece as far as the school and people in it. But yeah, it's made me a better man. I could not imagine my life here without Catholic Central. And me being in this program and being around the people that I am every day. And like I said, I told the kids on the bus, I said, look, as much as you guys think I do for you, or our staff does, or, Mr. Okoye or Mr. Babicz, you do just as much for us, if not more.
More.
Because you inspire me every day to be great in my life, so I don't come here and I'm not a liar.
Well, it does help too. You watch those guys graduate and you let them go out of your program. And I think the nice thing for us is with an incoming group of freshmen, we get to start that whole thing all over again. So it keeps us younger as well. Cause I turned 50 in September.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like sometimes when I move a little bit, yes, I feel like I'm 90,
yeah.
but like mentally being around these kids though, the kids keep you sharp. They keep you on your P's and Q's.
No
Yeah. I don't like learning all the new stupid slang words that these idiots have because they got a zillion of them. But then I bring those home to my 10 and 7-year-old and they think I'm like the coolest dad. Dad, how do you know what that means? I'm like,
well, they asked me something on these kids, man, I always say sometimes kids can be dumb, but they're not stupid, and they said, Coach, are you going to stay around for a long time? Like, when do you think you would ever retire? And I said, I'm going to retire when I stand up in front of a group of young men and I don't think I'm reaching them.
And I don't
that
feel
they're
it.
not listening with their eyes and their ears. And I don't feel the mutual love and energy. And if I'm not able to deliver that, then I am not worthy to be in this position here at Catholic Central or running this football program. Oh man, you really thought about this,
man.
I'm like,
it's part of your life.
I'm like, no, like, why should I do it injustice? If I can't impact you, if I can't reach you, then I should stop talking to you. I should stop leading you, and I should take another role or just step away. And that'll be the time, right? Like, and hopefully it's no time soon. And I don't feel like it will be anytime soon.
Bet your ass it ain't happening anytime soon.
Well, I hope it's less about. I don't need any other opportunities. I'm right where my feet are, as Coach Hancock already said. But it's about the mojo. Do you have the charisma and the presence to keep connected, and do you have the want? Because that you need to coach yourself up on what it takes to continue to adjust and evolve.
Touch on that
with the young men.
No. You have to put in that almost like that social worker type of mentality where you're going out and being very, very intentional on the best practices of connecting and engaging with
and
people.
They change.
Yes.
You got to pour back into yourself.
Every year.
Justin, I'm telling you, I'm dead serious when I say this. And it's not saying that you're egotistical or anything like that, but I think you love this version of yourself right now, where you are, where your feet planted, more than you have before. Yeah. That's why I think you're able to pour more love back into the kids, back into your own kids, back into Tina, back into your mom.
Because it's not about me.
Exactly. Yeah. I think you finally, like you said, you finally realize that this isn't my plan. Like I could figure it out, but it's already planned out for me. Yeah. Let me just try to be as positive as I can and affect as many people as possible. We always say it. You can't love other people until you love yourself. Not like you were bad at loving other people, but I've seen a major change in you. I've seen the same change in Coach Torrey, who got baptized a year or two ago, completely changed him as a person because he knows it's not his story. It's a story that's already been written for him. So, when you talk about family, what does the Catholic Central family mean to you in your soul?
It means a bridge to your spirituality. It means a bridge to Jesus Christ. It means a bridge to heaven. You know, it means a stability that you need, that we are responsible to bring to this world and our communities. That is deteriorating every single day. So the CC family is about loyalty. It's about goodness, discipline, and knowledge. It's about a bond that nobody can understand, and that we did work for and that we did earn, and that's why this place is so special. And so, you know, this, you know, when you call this place a school or you call it an athletic program, it's such a disservice to what it actually is. You know, it's a mission.
It's a family. It's a family mission is really what it is.
It's a family mission.
Like top to bottom.
Yeah.
That's the thing. For me, when I came back to Catholic Central, I actually loved it more when I came back as a graduate and as a young coach, because I realized what it meant to me, the framework it gave to me, what it provided to me as a young college graduate who's out in the world in his first job, and being able to still come here and get that piece of inner spirituality or that leadership, that motivation from Coach Mack. We've had a lot of great mentors in all of our lives, Sean included. I would say that for the three of us, Coach Mack has always been a major mentor. For you, I know how tight you are with him. Yeah. What is it like to carry on the tradition that he really did build? We had some great coaches before Coach Mack, but he put his stamp on it his first season here and kept it all the way through, even the Dan Anderson regime. But to follow a hero of yours and Coach Mack, what's that been like in terms of the program?
You know, it's unreal. It's surreal.
Did you ever think you'd be doing it?
No, I mean, not only did I never think I would make it through Catholic Central, then to a point that you had the respect and reputation to be in a position to do that, but it just seems so far-fetched. But the two biggest compliments I've ever received from the coach was from Coach Mack, and the number one was that I was one of the hardest workers he's ever had that played for him, and not the best, not the best athlete, not the fastest, not the strongest, one of the hardest workers. And you know, he tells me all the time now, there's nobody that was built to do what you're doing right now, and it's perfect for the times. And like his you know, in him just even jumping on a video to talk about the magic is in believing, and capturing him speaking in front of our team, even though he hasn't spoken in front of a team in a long time. For him to be willing to do that, you know, he believes in that, and he knows that we're adapting our tools and our weaponry to make sure that we adjust, to make sure we fight our battle and we build what we need to build in order for these kids to be successful. So it's awesome that, yes, he is old school, and yes, he didn't have a cell phone until, you know, maybe 5 years ago, but he understands what it takes, and he's supportive of it, and he's like, man, this is hard, and I see what, you know, the staff is doing, I see what his boys are doing, you know, see what I'm doing all together to progress. But even though we've changed, we really haven't. It's just we're moving with the times.
That's the thing with him too, and it's great to see him come back to games and just get to kind of sort of be a fan. But then you talk to him after, and he's like, "Oh, I love when we ran this player, and this player, and this one was great." And it's like, Coach, you do realize you could still coach. You might not be good with all the techie stuff now, like. Bob Santello didn't even know his computer turned on. Came in my office my first day. He's like, "Oh, that turns on." It's very similar to Coach Mack, who had Nancy and Rosemary Bales read their emails and answer them like handwritten. It was crazy. But the thing I think that I love the most is that you're very similar to Coach Mack. I always knew that Coach Mack loved us. I always knew that he wanted the best for us. I always knew that he believed in us as who we were, people and children of God. Guys like a Tom Mack who were seminarians, Bob Santello, seminarian, Tony Magny,
and tough
seminarian.
As nails too, all of them.
Think about that. You're talking about three legends here who, even though they didn't end up becoming bazillions or priests, they led a very priestly life in terms of how they raised their families, how they raised each other, and how they raised us. I think that's why we're so lucky to have been around the real OGs when it comes to culture. Even, and I got to give Coach Fracassa, you know, who we lost recently. I got to give him the same love, because he and Coach Mack were so similar. They developed a friendship because of how competitive they were, how faith-based they were, and how much they loved the kids.
They respected each other and how they did things.
And Coach Fracassa, culture-wise, when you talk to a guy like Dave Sofrin, who's over here with us now and is a Shamrock, he talks about Coach Fracassa the same way that we all talk about Coach Mack. So I really think our two communities were very lucky to have those two guys going head-to-head on a yearly basis, and that rivalry to be built in to what it is. I know you and Coach Marshall are working back to getting that rivalry to where it needs to be. And not that it hasn't been competitive, but we're on a bit of a streak. And I know we don't want that streak to end, but it's good for A good CC Rice football game is good for the soul.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
No doubt about that.
I think at the end of the day, they taught us, these men you just, mentioned, taught us how to be a man's man, but that you still can cry, you still can yell, you still can have emotion, you still can be connected and have empathy and still be a man of Christ and still be tough, and tough because of your discipline and your consistency and your actions to help others. And that's what I've learned from this school over my time, is how to be the right tough. I will always stand up for what I believe in. I try to have the emotional intelligence to still be professional and lead by example. And sometimes you have to pick your battles. But I'm always going to protect this place, my family, and my brothers. To the end of the day.
Before we get to our last little tidbit of positivity, I got to ask you about Tina.
Yeah.
I know we talked about being blessed with saints for wives. That's a tough woman you got at home.
Yeah.
Great mom, tough as nails.
Tough Turk. Yeah.
Gone through her own challenges while you've been starting this, resurgence in your coaching career as our head football coach. Tell me a little bit more about her support, her relationship, and what she means to you as not only a wife and the mother of your children, but the head coach's wife. Because I know it's not easy sitting up in the stands listening to some of the comments.
Yeah, no, you're making me cry, man.
That's the whole point I asked it.
Yeah, no. I tell my players right now, stay away from the dream killers. And
that's gotten me a little trouble at home.
I get some flack from that. But the reality of it is when you find the right woman, she's going to be your backbone. And there's no great man without even a greater woman. And, we obviously, the Mary Alma Mater and the Virgin Mary and a mother being a single mother household. And the woman, if she's supportive, she has values, and she raises your kids in your home, you're able to accomplish anything you set out in this life. And without her, I don't know where I'm at. She was from a traditional family, a very traditional cultural family. She has 3 citizenships, speaks Arabic, very, very different from what I grew up for, and brought something to my life and my household and my kids that I can't thank her enough for. She has literally sacrificed me to the greater good of what we believe our lives were called upon. And if anybody gets a ring or a trophy or accolades, it should be her way before me. It should be my mother. It should be my grandmother. God rest her soul. Her name's going up on the courtyard today. They had the signage come in, which is one of the most proudest things to have my grandmother and the legacy she left and instilled, and just the heartache she had to work through, and the foundation she had to create for us to even dream of having an opportunity to.
You feel like that started with her, trickled down to Dawn, then to...
Yeah. My wife, man, a little more passive, even though her mother was tough. She was the first one I called the Turkish tank. Now it's my daughter, Sunny. Her mother, God rest her soul. But I have tough women around me, man. They're sharks. So her being around my aunts and my mother and my grandmother, she learned a whole different angle of toughness, and her mom was tough. So yeah, I don't worry. I don't so much worry about my girls. I worry about the boys that date them.
Yes, because I can tell you this, Tina, she might seem quiet and a little passive. You can feel that Turkish intensity when she's around.
Yeah,
trust me.
She's got it. Yeah. So no, but she's been look, I've been in 11 states in 3 months. All of it for Catholic Central football, alumni development. And she's the biggest supporter. She never makes me feel bad. I know she has hard days when I'm FaceTiming the kids. I mean, that's gone a lot. And she's down for the mission, and we call it the ride or die, man. That's my wife, So I think, my friends that are younger and or the young men that come over my house, they see our relationship, and although it's not perfect, like any marriage isn't, they see how we interact and how we support each other, and I think they look up to that, and that's a testament to her.
One of the best compliments I've ever gotten came from him, and it was early when we had Brooks and Bo and Chris was around. I think you might have been with the Chargers at this point. I think when Brooksy was playing with the Chargers too.
Oh yeah.
Chris was like, he's like, I don't know how you do it. He's like, it's so motivational to see how you and Lauren balance the things that you balance with your kids running all over the place. If we didn't have FaceTime, I don't know how we would do it, because no doubt. That's the one way you can at least see your kids and like tuck them in when you're not going to be home and stuff. Chris, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the strongest female in your life is your mom.
Oh, of course.
So I want you to touch on that relationship and that support that you get from her before I touch on my own mother, since we're celebrating the ladies.
I think My mother is one of the best examples of humility. My mother always showed me that it's okay to not know, and the first step in actually gaining information is realizing, like, hey, I don't know. And so I believe my mother is what made me so coachable, because I remember, now that I'm an adult and being around you guys,
Sean, you heard that right? Allegedly. I had to throw in allegedly. It's the first one. Go ahead.
Now that I'm an adult, like, I know it will be a lot to just sit in front of someone that looks up to you, references you, thinks you're perfect, and go like, I don't have much. I don't have it figured all out. But what I will do is I'm gonna send you somewhere where I feel as though they do have it figured out, because I want you to learn. And you learning, you growing as a young man is more important than my ego. And I believe that's why it's always been so easy for me to sit back and listen to others, because I believe that people genuinely want what's best for you. I learned that skill from my mother, and not being afraid to go and knock on doors and see who's open, and furthering your research and figuring out, okay, these are the best practices. This is what doesn't work, and this is what does work. And then studying first principle thinking and debunking whatever nonsense you have in your head, and actually going out and seeking and finding the truth. Those are skills that I learned from my mother, and that has always kept our relationship so tight. We've been through a lot. We've been through a lot, and I think one of our biggest blessings in our life till this day. My mother always says the best decision that she's ever made was sending me here, because my ability now to not just impact here or impact society, but to impact my family. I became a much better man in the community. I don't know if I still am a person that decides to be more of an intellectual or be a speaker or a writer or an author if I don't go to CC. You can go play football anywhere. I always tell you, man, that you can go and play football, go to college, go pro. You can literally do that.
But then what?
And having a genuine interest in those things. And so, my mother sending me here and having the humility to send me to a place where she didn't know what to expect, but she just looked at the data. She went on the website. Okay, we see National Merit Scholars. Okay, good. We see these state championships. Okay,
support.
That's good. Okay, we see support. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Now we don't see much diversity, but whatever. And her having that humility, you go like, you know what? Like, these are the best practices, and we're gonna follow the best practices. And having a conversation with you and Father Huber, and that my ability to be almost kind of like punched in the mouth into delay gratification. I learned that from my mother, because it truly does get greater later if you have the humility to accept the year, 2 years, 5, whatever, of being looked down at, and then but during that process, you're building that proof. And I always say it's about proof over validation. You need to have an undeniable stack of proof that you can look back and say, I am who I say I am, and I do what I say I can do. Amen. Validation doesn't matter anymore.
No, not at all.
People validate nonsense.
You didn't put the work in. Yeah, exactly.
That's why I say, like, at the end of the day, like, all right, I woke up 7 days a week. I did my prayers. I worked out. I poured into people, whatever. I did what I said I was going to do. You have to prove that to yourself, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. So I got that from my mother, because people gave her, being from the city, people gave her a hard time, but those same people are now making sure that their grandkids come here.
Yeah. Or even other family members of yours too.
Yeah, or even other family members, and so and even in the culture, we all know this school is a melting pot now.
Yeah.
And so that happens when sometimes you got to be that flag bearer, for the 20th century.
This is the best version of Catholic Central we've been in
by far.
I feel like not in terms of not just in terms of the way the school looks. That's hands down. This is the most diverse this place has ever been. You talk about religiously all the way down to people's ethnicity and where they come from,
socioeconomically.
But people think diversity is just, well, how many black kids do you have in the school? That's part of the goal, yes. But like you said, socioeconomic. We want this place to be affordable to every type of family. We're not giving you an athletic scholarship. It's all need based. But if you want to come here and you want to work hard, you will be better because of it, and your family will be better because of it. My mom has always told me, shout out to my mom. I was just with her yesterday, and with Mother's Day coming up, I feel like it's important we talked about our moms. She always told me, God has a plan for you. That's all she would say. Aaron, I know God has something special planned for you. And it took me a while to figure out what it was. It wasn't coaching here, but when I came back in the building as the admissions director, I knew this was where I was supposed to be. And for me, it's just I can't pour enough love into our people, our kids, and this place to pay back what it's given me on a daily basis. Every day I come here, like you said, if there's a time where you get up in front of the kids and they're not feeling you, then you know it's time to quit coaching. I told Lauren the other day and my mom, I said, if there's a time where I go to a game and I'm not fired up and I'm not excited, then
well, hats off to you, man. You've been a great gatekeeper, and you show by example to the coaches and people in here that you can have an open door policy, that it's necessary, and don't forget about the main thing, and the main thing is the kids.
That's it.
You know, and whatever you have to do, you have to drive, you know, stop doing your work, stop a call, stop anything for a kid that's knocking on your door, or for them to feel comfortable that is really an open door, not just saying it, is the most important part of what Catholic Central is today. And it's the most needed thing in society for young people.
There isn't a single day you can go through here and work from 8 in the morning until 3:30 uninterrupted.
No.
And I don't think any of us want
You're not
that.
doing a good job if you are.
No, not at all. Like, I don't want.
It's one thing with adults. I think it's another. And you still have to build relationships. But, you know, like with the kids, when they're coming to knock on your door, that still might not be an easy thing for them, even though you think you're comfortable. And, you know, you have to sometimes pull out why they're stopping by in the first place. And they might be asking a simple question, but there's something deeper going on. And if you lose the passion to know that, then you shouldn't be in this position, not here at this school.
I think it's easy as asking a kid, what weight are you carrying?
Yeah.
I can tell you're carrying something.
Yeah.
I asked a kid beginning of the year this year, broke down.
Yeah.
I mean, hyperventilating, crying in my office, told me all the stuff he was carrying. And I was like, that's not stuff on your plate. Those are all side dishes.
Yeah.
The only thing on your plate is your family, your faith, and your health.
Yeah.
Everything else you can figure out what you need to take with you, because, you know, these kids carry around so much. We still do. I mean, there's things like, I think that all of us, including Sean, are very in tune with being able to like see somebody walking down the hallway and just know they're in the middle of something. Like, you good? Like, everything all right? But I think we do a good job at seeing people. The one thing we always do to end the House of Hammers podcast, and we could probably sit in here for 4 hours, but I know today is a little bit special for the football program after school. Yes?
Yeah.
You want to share that?
Getting
a little bit of the fruit,
our ring blessing, and I'm putting it right on the shelf. I'm sure as the juniors are, but it's just the you know, it's the final cherry on top. It's the final kind of closure of last season, is getting our state championship ring. So, you know, everybody always asks me, what's your favorite ring? Because this is the 5th one I've been blessed with, and it's the next one. So before we go to that, though, I want to say one last thing, because what you were just saying was very relevant. It's much easier for Satan to distract you from heaven than to lead you to hell. And I think as this world continues to be mass communication technology, kids have to measure themselves each and every day. It is our responsibility to continue to lead them to a path of heaven and distract them from the things that are going to pull them down. And a lot of that is the weights that they're carrying, and how important it is to have mentors or people that are just willing to listen. You know, I think you said that earlier, Chris. Just doing a better job of just not always having the answer.
Listening intently is the key.
You know, it probably, I mean, and I know not to make you guys feel old, but a big part
Well, you
of
do
like,
it all the time anyway. Why are you tiptoeing now?
I don't need any help.
Yeah.
No, it's because like, no, I think like for me, it's like one of those like, it's like I have like an epiphany, because you know what, being able to be what you guys were to me when I was young, you know, it's just kind of like God's gift to you is what you do with your life, and your gift to God. I mean, God's gift to you is life, and your gift to God is what you do with your life. Being able to kind of like see what made you guys. I always wonder like what makes you guys do that? Like why would you want to talk to this, like, especially when I wasn't good yet? It was like, you're gonna just talk to this like random black kid from Detroit who you guys have nothing in common with. Like why? Then you see just like how much when you see a young man that needs help, that's afraid to ask, feels like he doesn't fit in, and you make him feel like, no, you're more than welcomed here. No, this is your place. Just as how you look, what you have, what you think. This is once you sign the dotted line. This is just as much your place as it is a Mike Martins. This is just as much your place as it is
Like Tim Burke says,
George
it's home.
Turks.
Welcome home.
It's home, man. And so like, you know, that's one of those like mad epiphanies when it's like,
and then home is what you make it.
exactly
Right. So,
so that's always. I appreciate you guys. 'Cause I remember. I mean, I thought you guys were the cool. I mean, not that I don't think it's still. But
We're still cool.
I remember.
Don't get it twisted. We're still cool.
I just think I remember thinking
You don't hit a certain age and not.
I remember like thinking you guys were the coolest people in the world at
Thank
like
you.
14, 15. Like Coach Cessante is like, oh, I'm gonna call up Muscle Milk and He's giving me hats and he's like walking around with his little shorts. People talk about my shorts. He had his shorts on. His muscle tees.
We don't have enough time to get into comparing outfits. You took it to a different level. At some point, I'm going to bring pictures on here that Sean can flash in. Could you drop some into this portion of the podcast? Like
if you send them to me. Yeah.
Oh, I got a good one.
Chris got that 80s heart, man. Larry Johnson.
I don't mean to make you guys feel old, but I do every single time we're in this room with some type of sly comment.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's like me constantly celebrating that you're not married yet. But you got time. See, but it's God's plan.
But when you watch my podcast clips, it's always just me giving a reference. Oh, I appreciate you really. It's him like, oh, shots. Like,
how old are you?
28.
Yeah, you're straight.
Yeah, I waited until I was 30.
Yeah, me too, 33.
It took us a little while to grow up.
33. Yeah.
37.
Was that when you got married?
38. We got married when I was 38.
We were 40s, man.
No, I wasn't.
I started having kids late. You know, I got young kids, man.
Yeah.
My buddies, you know.
Yeah, we suffer the same curse. The baptism.
No, they keep you right.
That's why we suffer the same haircut.
I'm just following my examples.
That's all. Follow mine a little closer.
Yeah. Everyone I know,
so slow down over there. In that black polo. Take it easy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I follow you.
We start rolling out the Shamrocks After Dark podcast.
Allegedly. I'm not available for that one, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not hosting that. I'm not hosting that one either.
I won't be hosting that either.
We'll find somebody else to do that. The one thing we like to do to tie the whole thing together and put a little bow on it is give however many people end up watching this, listening to it. And we got a good little pocket of people who like to tap into this and just hear some positivity. But what can you give the people as a positive takeaway to get them through something that they're going through that's challenging or a tough time in life?
You know, be grounded in your faith, you know, stop trying to figure everything out by yourself. Understand that there is a bigger purpose for you. I think we've talked about it plenty. And know your truth. You know, what you do in the dark comes to the light. Continue to strive, take one day at a time. I think that we have such a hard time doing that in society as human beings. And have some grace with yourself. And you talk about this all the time, Aaron. You know, having grace, give yourself grace, learn from your mistakes, but move forward with somebody. You cannot carry your shield and your sword by yourself. You must have your faith, and mine is my Savior in Jesus Christ. Continue to do that, and you know, always look at. I think my last thing is always look at success as the positive impact on others. I think if you do that and live for others, your family, your friends, your impact in this world, God is going to put you on the path, no matter how many times that you veer off of it.
What do you got for us, big fella?
Honestly, just keep it simple. It gets greater later. You know, delay gratification. I always tell people, in order to be, if you want to be exceptional, you must be the exception. You know, people are going to make fun of how you dress, how you do things, how you prepare, how you pray, the type of intensity you put into something. But that's why you're not average. You know, embrace not being average. Embrace not being normal, because what is normal? Right? Yeah. What is people are, oh, let's normalize this, let's normalize that. No, just do it. You know, like I always tell our young men, if it's not going against, you know, the word of God, if it's not going against your family, you go ahead and try it. You know, shoot for the moon. You know, put your all into something, because one of the greatest fears people have is that feeling of regret. You know, and right now it's such an amazing opportunity to go out and just chase your dreams. Just understand that things come sometimes after a long time horizon. I know AI, as someone that's even in that space, it makes you think that things come quickly. And no. You may be able to see an idea quickly, but the execution takes time. And I just want to make sure people just keep that in their minds.
I love that it gets greater later, because not everything happens right away and it takes a ton of work. I think for me, the biggest thing is to know your value. To know your value. Don't let anybody else determine what your value is. The outside opinions don't matter. Sometimes the opinions of your friends don't matter. You build your own value on following the word of God and following who you are trying to become as a man, as a woman, a husband, a father, a daughter, a son. It doesn't matter. You create your own value by how much you pour back into other people. I love myself. I love this version of myself. I love Justin. I love Chris. I love Sean. I constantly say that to the people that I care about, because I know that I care about myself enough to pour as much as I possibly can into the people that I care about. And sometimes I'll continue to pour even if those people don't care. So my challenge to everybody out there, along with what Coach Cessante said and Mr. Okoye said, know your value. You create your own worth by what you pour in to other people. And when all else fails,
shoot over to CatholicCentral.net and donate to the 1928 Club.
Yes. You got a good little segue with that. I like that.
Yeah, I was like, delay gratification in every aspect of life, except when it comes to giving donations to the 1928 Club.
Sean will splice both of them
There
together.
we go, put it together.
Yeah, you ain't gonna pour time, pour money.
Exactly.
We could always use more.
We can always use more.
But on behalf of myself, Sean Silva, who's always phenomenal behind the boards and makes this whole thing run and does all the editing and everything, and Chris Okoye, who's been a part of this since the beginning, we can't thank you enough.
Thanks for having me.
For Chris to be a former player of yours, for me to have seen you grow up, watch you play, become a friend of yours, a brother of yours.
The little brother you never wanted.
Somebody that's in the trenches. No, I want anybody that's part of my circle, I want in that circle because they make me a better man. And you have helped make me a better person. I don't know if you realize that. You helped me stay strong in my faith. I appreciate the way that you hustle for the kids. One thing Coach Mack always said about you, even when you were at Grand Valley, after Grand Valley, Justin is one of the biggest hustlers I know. You've always put people first before yourself. I think you're doing a better job of putting yourself a little bit first and giving yourself more grace, which is why you're continuing to grow. And I can't tell you how happy I am that we get to work together on a daily basis. I don't care about the wins. I don't care about the losses. I care about the faith, the love, and the brotherhood. And you've hit those 3 tick marks for me, and I can't wait to see where this goes for the next 50 years as you as our head coach.
Hey,
if it's 50, it's 50. I'm here.
If God will have me, I'll be here hopefully until the end of times. But I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm not here without you having belief and faith in a man that did not have any head coaching experience. So here we are. So I appreciate you, brother.
I also knew that you were one of the biggest fire breathers that I've met, and that is a little bit of what we needed as well. So on behalf of the Shamrock Nation, the House of Hammers, anybody out there that might tap in for a little bit of positivity, if you're struggling, find a piece of this podcast to take with you to help pick yourself back up. If you're flourishing, remember that doesn't last forever either, and you got to continue to put the work in. And when all else fails, keep hammering. We appreciate and love you guys.